AMD announces Ryzen 8000G series desktop APUs, select models feature Ryzen I. AMD today announced the Ryzen 8000G line of desktop APUs. These come in the socket AM5 package, and are supported by all motherboards based on the AMD X670/E, B650/E, and A620 chipsets, with some requiring UEFI firmware updates. Since USB BIOS flashback is standard issue on AMD motherboards, this should be no problem. With Ryzen 7000 series Raphael desktop processors that debut the Zen 4-inch microarchitecture, AMD had standardized integrated graphics. However, the APU for these are just enough for desktop productivity workloads, offering comparable performance to the APUs of Intel 13th Gen Core desktop processors. AMD doesn't consider Ryzen 7000 chips as APUs for this reason. An APU has to be a processor with powerful integrated graphics that can offer entry-level gaming, high-res content consumption, or multi-monitor productivity, and Raphael isn't it. Enter the Ryzen 8000G series. The AMD Ryzen 8000G series debuts 4 APU models, the Ryzen 7 8700G, the Ryzen 5 8600G, the Ryzen 5 8500G, and the Ryzen 3 8300G. The 8700G and 8600G are based on the 4nm Hawk Point silicon, feature Ryzen I, and are the first desktop processors to feature an NPU, neural processing unit. The 8500G and 8300G are based on the 4nm Phoenix 2-inch silicon. The Ryzen 7 8700G leads the pack, and is a maxed-out implementation of Hawk Point, featuring an 8-core/16-thread CPU based on the Zen 4-inch microarchitecture, the full Radeon 780M integrated graphics implementation with 12 Adreno 3 compute units, and the Ryzen I XDNA NPU. The processor has a combined I throughput of 39 TOPS, with 16 TOPS from the NPU. For reference, an Intel Core Ultra 7 165H Meteor Lake mobile processor with its iBoost NPU, has a combined I throughput of 34 TOPS. The 8-core/16-thread CPU of the 8700G is clocked at 4.20 GHz base, and 5.10 GHz maximum boost frequency. Each of its 8 cores has 1 MB of L2 cache, and the 8 share a 16 MB L3 cache. The Radeon 780M has an engine boost frequency of 2.90 GHz. This APU is configured with 12 compute units that make up 768 stream processors, 24 I accelerators, 12 RA accelerators, 48 TMUs, and 32 ROPs. The processor comes with a 65W TDP, and its retail PIB, processor in box, package includes a Wraithspire cooling solution that's originally designed for 95W TDP processors. It's important to note here that the I accelerators intrinsic to the CPU are different from the purpose-built NPU. An RDNA 3I accelerator is a fixed function component that prepares matrix math workloads for processing on the SIMD units of the CPU. The Zen 4-inch CPU cores are capable of a truncated, client-relevant set of AVX512VNNI instructions using their dual-pump 256-bit FPUs, and features support for float 16 instructions relevant to I workloads. The combination of Zen 4-inch CPU cores, the Adreno 3 APU, and the purpose-built Ryzen I XDNA NPU, is how AMD arrives at the combined throughput figure of 39 TOPS. The NPU is a power-efficient way to deal with AI deep learning neural net building and training. The Ryzen 5 8600G is based on the same Hawk Point silicon as the 8700G, but comes with a 6-core/12-thread Zen 4-inch CPU clocked at 4.35 GHz base, and 5.00 GHz boost. Each of the 6 cores has 1 MB of L2 cache, and share the full 16 MB L3 cache available on the silicon. This processor model gets the Radeon 760M integrated graphics. The 760M is configured with 8 compute units, which work out to 512 stream processors, 16 I accelerators, 8 RA accelerators, 32 TMUs, and 16 ROPS. AMD has given it a maximum engine boost frequency of 2.80 GHz. The 8600G gets the same APU as the 8700G, with an identical 16 TOPS throughput. The processor has the same 65W TDP, and AMD will include a Wraithspire cooler in the PIB retail package. Things get interesting with the 8500G and 8300G. These are not based on 178 Hawk Point silicon, but rather the smaller 137 Phoenix 2. This chip physically features a 6-core CPU, but from these, 2 are Zen 4" cores, while the other 4 are Zen 4C, making this AMD's first crack at a hybrid processor. The Zen 4C core is physically smaller than Zen 4, and was originally designed for the high-density 128-core Pike Bergamo server processor. Despite being physically smaller, it has identical numbers of core components as Zen 4, and hence has an identical IPC and instruction set as Zen 4, as well as SMT. However, it has much tighter V-core limits, which means that these cores have a lower boost frequency than the Zen 4" cores. AMD marks the Zen 4" cores as UFI CPPC preferred cores, which tells the OS to prioritize workloads to them, as they can hold on to the highest boost frequencies. It's not just the 6-core CPU, the Phoenix 2" silicon also lacks an NPU, which means that the 8500G and 8300G miss out on Ryzen I. The silicon also features a smaller Radeon 740M APU, which physically only has 4 compute units, amounting to 256 stream processors, 8 high accelerators, 4 array accelerators, 16 TMUs, and 8 ROPS. AMD has given this an engine boost frequency of 2.80 GHz on both the 8500G and 8300G. The Ryzen 5 8500G technically has a 6-core/12-thread CPU, but 2 of these cores are Zen 4, and the other 4 Zen 4C. Each of the 6 has a 1 MB L2 cache, and interestingly, all 6 share a common 16 MB L3 cache. This is a monolithic cache, and is not a case of 2 CCX having an 8 MB L3 cache, each. A common L3 cache between the Zen 4" and Zen 4C cores should greatly speed up movement of workloads between the two kinds of cores. The Ryzen 5 8500G CPU has a base frequency of 3.50 GHz, with a maximum boost frequency of 5.00 GHz, attainable only by the Zen 4" cores. AMD hasn't put out the maximum boost frequency of the Zen 4C cores, yet. The retail PIB package of the 8500G will include a Wraith Stealth cooler, a compacted version of the Wraithspire, designed for 65W processors. The Ryzen 3 8300G is an entry-level chip that AMD isn't releasing in the retail channel, but rather only through its pre-built desktop OEM partners. This one gets a 4-core CPU, but only one of the 4 cores is Zen 4, the other 3 are Zen 4C. The CPU base frequency is 3.40 GHz, and the maximum boost frequency is 4.90 GHz, again, only attainable by the sole Zen 4" core. The 8300G gets the same Radeon 740M APU as the 8500G, with an identical 2.80 GHz. It gets the same 65W TDP. While not available in the retail channel, you can expect brick-and-mortar stores in some markets to have trays of these chips under their counters to sell as processor plus motherboard plus RAM bundles. Hardware specs are only half the story. The 8700G and 8600G are claimed to offer phenomenal entry-level gaming performance, as they fully support the AMD HyperRX framerate speedups, including fluid motion frames. Even without HyperRX, at 1080p, the Radeon 780M is shown offering playable 2358 FPS in popular titles such as Jedi Survivor, Starfield, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and Lies of P, with HyperRX more than doubling frame rates in these games to around 60 FPS. AMD claims that the 8700G at its price will offer a superior alternative to a similarly priced combination of a Core i5-13400F processor and an entry-level discrete GPU. As a CPU, the 8700G and 8600G offer comparable performance levels to the Ryzen 7 7700 and Ryzen 7 7600, respectively. The new chips have smaller L3 caches, but should benefit from lower memory latencies across the pipeline, as Hawkpoint is a monolithic chip. The reference memory standard supported is dual-channel DDR5 5600, although memory overclocking is very much possible. Historically, AMD's desktop APUs based on monolithic chips have been good at memory overclocking. Both these chips very much do support AMD Expo memory modules, for easy memory overclocking. Both the 8700G and 8600G come with unlocked multipliers for the CPU, so you can play around within the available power limits. The Hawkpoint silicon physically lacks PCI Express Gen 5 capability, and so when installed on any socket AM5 motherboard, the Gen 5 capable X16 and M.2 slots will run in Gen 4 mode. Also, since the Hawkpoint SoC only puts out a maximum of 24 key lanes, on motherboards with two CPU-attached M.2 NVMe slots, one of the slot will be disabled. All Ryzen 8000G series APUs being announced today will be available from January 31st. The 8700G is priced at USD $329, the 8600G at $229, and the 8500G at $179.